Hey there folks, welcome back to Chits and Cardboard, and today we are taking a look at a brand new abstract strategy game from Bad Comet called Shallow Sea.
In Shallow Sea, you and your friends are going to be creating your own individual areas of the Great Barrier Reef, and of course trying to score the most amount of points while you do that. On your turn, you're going to be selecting one fish and one tile from the open market. The first type of tile we're going to talk about is coral. When you take a coral tile, you can place it on the board and rotate it in any direction you want, and throughout the game you're going to be trying to put fish of those colors that it wants surrounding it in specific spots. Once you've placed all the fish that coral needs, you can flip the tile. You're going to score endgame points for that. You're going to place your fish on top of that tile, and then you're also going to get one of these nice little shells that we'll talk about later.
The second type of tiles are sea life tiles. Sea life tiles can be drafted instead of coral tiles anytime you draft a fish, and have specific constraints that need to be met around them anytime you place them. They can be rotated in any direction, and this one, for example, says you need to have 4 of the same type of coral in either of the 2 available directions coming out of the sea life tile. Once that's completed, you can once again flip it over and gain the points listed on the back.
Shallow Sea is a bit of a points puzzle with 3 different layers. The first layer is your coral tiles, the second layer are your sea life tiles, and the third layer are these cards. At the beginning of the game, you draw 2 of these cards, and they're going to inform you on additional points that you can score throughout the game and kind of achievements that you're going to try and mark off on your board to score more points. This one, for example, scores you 3 points for every row that you have that has 2 completed animal tiles on it.
So when you're choosing a combination of fish and a tile, you have to do so from the same column. When you place fish and tiles, as mentioned, you have to place the fish next to any tile in your ecosystem, attempting to complete the colors available on the edge of that tile. Once that's completed and you flip that tile, in this case a coral, you would gain a shell for completing that tile. These shells can be spent in a lot of ways, but the primary way is to break the rule, which you have to choose a fish from the same column as the tile you're picking. Basically, you can choose a fish and a tile from separate columns and then combine those onto your tableau in one way or another. If you spend a seashell, you can replace an entire row of tiles with a brand new row if you don't like any of the ones on offer. The same applies to the fish, the same applies to the wildlife or the sea life. Additionally, you can use one of those tokens, one of those shells, to move a fish from one spot to another, allowing you to take fish that are next to completed coral and move them next to things that are incomplete in order to hopefully complete them. This unlocks a lot of combos because obviously you can store 5 of these shells. So you might be able to move 3 fish, finish a coral, move 2 more fish, finish another coral in kind of a sequence, earning coral along the way. The last thing I'd like to mention is if you have 4 of the same color of anything or type of anything in any row, just like you see 4 yellow fish here, you're allowed to swap those for free, taking them off the board, drawing new fish and putting those ones back into the bag, attempting to refresh the colors available to you. And with that, Jeffrey,
Yes,
Shallow
sir.
Sea.
I really like this game.
Yeah, I dig it.
I've played so many different tile placing games, and like Cascadia, like Verdant, Harmonies. Everybody who's watched our videos knows I love Harmonies. And yeah, this one surprised me. I wasn't that excited for it. I was like, fish, I'm not that into fish. But yeah, no, it's great. I think probably the thing I like most about it is the comboing that you can do with the shells.
Yeah.
That's really cool and unique to this game compared to a lot of the other ones.
Yeah, the entire double layer nature of it, kind of the fact you're drafting your own combinations. So like in Cascadia, the animal combos are kind of laid out for you.
Yes.
In this, you kind of have to pick what combos of tiles you want to have, which is kind of cool. I have minor gripes I'll get to later, but generally speaking, I agree. This is kind of my favorite of this genre, but it's also, in my opinion, the thinkiest of this genre because there's the most going on.
Yeah.
So it might be the least approachable or a little step more complicated than Cascadia, Harmonies, that sort of thing.
Yeah,
I'd
I'd
probably say it's about as heavy as Calico, but not quite as hurtful when you don't.
Yeah, fair.
When you can't play something where you want to.
Calico's the only one I haven't played, but you mentioning the how the animal tiles, you're choosing your point scoring for a lot of it. You do have the cards that are open to everybody to use, but that is a really good aspect. And I hadn't actually thought about that before, that you get to choose your own scoring in this. I do really like that. It's great about this game.
Yeah, minor gripe time.
Yeah, sure.
The only thing I have an issue with is the setup, and it's only because those sea life tiles tiles, there's like 20 of them you could pick from.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you have to like organize them by like A1, A2, A3, A4, B1,
Yeah.
B2
Yeah,
because they're
yeah.
like coded, but you only put a certain number of them in the bag. You're not like playing with all of them. So keeping them organized is kind of a pain. I might 3D print something just to keep them separate so I know what's where and then
that's a good
separate them
idea.
once a game's done.
That's a really good idea.
But otherwise, I mean, look, the fish tokens are stunning. I'm sure you'll see some B-roll.
Yeah, absolutely.
I really like the spatial element of this, and it's not as mean as Calico, because Calico forces you to fill the whole board, and this you end up with open space.
Yeah,
and
the
you
game
can
ends
kind
when there's only 4 spaces left. Yeah.
And you can kind of plan around stuff. Also, I like that this game starts by making you pick a scoring tile, so it kind of gives you a starting direction.
Yeah.
And I do like the central objectives to keep things fresh.
Yeah, overall it's great. Like they've really thought this out, and like I said before, I thought this was just going to be another tile placement game, but I am really surprised about this and how much I like it.
Now, I wouldn't go into this expecting like Wondrous Creatures or Life of the Amazonia level gameplay. This is a lot lighter.
Yeah,
this is a different feel from Bad Comet.
Still very crunchy though.
Definitely crunchy.
Yeah.
Still, it has their like flavor of kind of putting a twist on something that or a pattern that you think you knew before you played it. Like I would say Wondrous Creatures is a great iteration on Everdell.
Yeah.
I would say Life of the Amazonia was a great, more complicated iteration of Cascadia. I think this is more of a competitor with that kind of game.
Yeah, definitely.
I think they learned from Cascadia's mistakes, specifically with the seashells. I think what they've done with the seashells is super cool.
Oh, it's really good.
And
really
just
good.
Iterated on it beautifully.
Yeah,
So,
it's way better than the pine cones from Cascadia. And one of the other great things about this game is I really feel like this is a very accessible game.
Yeah, totally.
Like you can play this with little kids, you can play it with people who don't play board games at all. It's very accessible. And besides what John's minor gripe with those the different scoring tiles are, which I absolutely agree with, this game is very quick to set up, very easy to tear down. Like you're going to be in playing the game immediately.
yeah, if you're okay having a predetermined bag of scoring tiles you've decided for like multiple plays, this game sets up in 3 seconds. Just pull all the bags
100%.
out, pull the tiles out, start up. Something else I've seen people do is so there's a certain number of these scoring tiles you're supposed to put in this bag. What I've seen people do is put them all in this bag and then just draw that number out.
Okay,
and then just play with that many of those tiles.
Yeah.
You just put 2 of each and it covers all the player counts, I'm pretty sure. That's one way to do it. I haven't tried that yet. I don't know how balanced it is, but it's just quicker to set up, which I think is kind of where you're trying to be at with this game if you had any issues with it at all.
Yeah, 100%.
Now, keep in mind we have a pre-production copy, so there are going to be some changes. These shells are going to be wooden. These bags are going to be a little bit bigger, which is good because that bag that has the coral in it is slammed.
It's very stuffed.
I believe there's an expansion that comes out that we didn't get to try, but I think any added little depth with that would actually help this game.
Oh, 100%.
So,
yeah.
it was a great time. We were honest with our feedback. I think that you would love this game if you're into the Cascadia, Calico, Verdant, Harmonies type games. I think this will land very high, if not your favorite. It's been my favorite since I got it of that type of game. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, Shallow is absolutely great, and everybody should give it a shot. Like, you're gonna like it. If you like any tile placement games whatsoever, you will enjoy this 100%.
Anyway, with that, I'm John.
I'm Jeff.
We'll catch you next time. See ya.